Hashmi'eni et koilech, ki koilech arev u'marech nave, ki koilech arev u'marech nave, ay ki koilech arev u'marech nave, ay ki koilech arev u'marech nave, ki koilech arev u'marech nave. Bezrat Hashem, the shiur this week should be l'refuat Morenu v'Rabbeinu Harav Menachem Yoshua ben Leah Rezel v'achola Shlomit bat Chaya betoch kol shar cholei Yisrael. The niggin we open up the shiur is a song from Shir HaShirim. And Bezrat Hashem in this shiur, I guess the end of the set of shirim for Pesach, starting from Shabbat HaGadol, Pesach, and Shvi'i Shel Pesach, to try and understand how this pasuk relates to Shvi'i Shel Pesach. But before we get to the pasuk in Shir HaShirim, we need to realize something very important about the simple concept that Pesach ends on Shvi'i Shel Pesach. There's two holidays in the year that have 7 days: Sukkot and Pesach. Sukkot, the obvious differentiation is between the first day and the other 6. Whereas when we get to Pesach, the 7th day, in a certain element, becomes its own holiday. No other, Sukkot, the 7th day is not Yom Tov. But Shvi'i Shel Pesach is Yom Tov. Shvi'i Shel Pesach is Mikra Kodesh. And Shvi'i Shel Pesach is a whole new part of Yetziat Mitzrayim. But the simple idea that this means is that on a certain level, Shvi'i Shel Pesach teaches us that Yetziat Mitzrayim was not the end. Shvi'i Shel Pesach understands that many of us can make the mistake and feel that the most important part of Pesach is the Seder. What do we celebrate on the Seder? Yetziat Mitzrayim. And that itself is miraculous, is amazing, is incredible. And when Shvi'i Shel Pesach comes into the picture, it comes and says, wait, don't think that Yetziat Mitzrayim was the goal. Because if Shvi'i Shel Pesach is the end of Pesach, it's saying the goal is Shvi'i Shel Pesach. And Yetziat Mitzrayim was only a preparation for Shvi'i Shel Pesach. So the pasuk in Shir HaShirim says, Yonati b'chagvei asela. The Yonah is Am Yisrael, and it's hiding in a little rock, b'chagvei asela. And obviously if the Yonah is in chagvei asela, it's scared, it's afraid. Beseter hamadrega. The Yonah is trying to hide. It's going into the little hole, afraid. And the pasuk continues, Har'ini et mar'aich. Show me your beauty. Hashmi'eni et kolech. Let me hear your voice. Ki kolech arev. Because your voice is beautiful. Umar'ech naveh. And your beauty is divine. And we see the reaction to the fear speaks about the voice and the beauty, the outer beauty of the Yonah. That's the simple understanding of the pasuk. In Midrash Rabbah, on this pasuk, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Hadavar hazeh al yam suf ne'emar. Says Rabbi Eliezer, this pasuk of fear, where do we find fear for the first time as a nation, is on Kriyat Yamsuf. Har'ini et mar'aich compares Rabbi Eliezer to the pasuk Hityatzvu ure'u et Yeshuat Hashem. So we said that the Yonah was afraid. The Midrash says Har'ini et mar'aich. We have to see what amazing idea Rabbi Eliezer says. Rabbi Eliezer says Har'ini et mar'aich is when Moshe says to Am Yisrael at Kriyat Yamsuf, Hityatzvu ure'u et Yeshuat Hashem. Meaning the beauty, the outer beauty, Har'ini et mar'aich, is the Yonah calling out to Hashem. It's still part of the fear. They're standing there in between Mitzrayim and the Yamsuf. The Am Yisrael stands there and they call out from fear, God, Har'ini et mar'aich. But what is Hashmi'eni et kolech? Vayitz'aku b'nei Yisrael el Hashem. Says Rabbi Eliezer, this pasuk from Shir HaShirim is all about Kriyat Yamsuf. But what is Rabbi Eliezer saying? The Kriyat Yamsuf was about one pasuk. Vayitz'aku b'nei Yisrael el Hashem. Am Yisrael call out in tefila to Hashem. And so says the Sefat Emet on this pasuk and midrash. B'pasuk v'hinei Mitzrayim nosea v'yitz'aku el Hashem. That's the pasuk. U'bamidrash hashmi'eni et kolech. Says the Sefat Emet, ki clippa rodefet tamid achar b'nei Yisrael. Says the Sefat Emet, Mitzrayim are the clippa. What is the clippa? If we think about a simple fruit in the world, so you take a lemon, and you want the lemon that's inside, and the clippa kind of protects, depending where it is, from the lemon to come out. So says the Sefat Emet, the clippa is constantly running after us. When it says that Mitzrayim run after Am Yisrael to the Yam, it's saying that they got there and they'll always be there. Shvi'i Shel Pesach is saying, do you think you left Mitzrayim, it's over? It's not over. Mitzrayim's still right there. The clippa is right behind you. And they're yelling, and they're making you afraid, and they're scaring you. V'ne'esa b'yitziat Mitzrayim hachana. Yitziat Mitzrayim, says the Sefat Emet, was hachana, preparation, lihiyot noshat tamid, that the redemption will always be al yedei schirat Mitzrayim bapeh. I think the Sefat Emet here is realizing that we have to ask ourselves, what is the difference between Yitziat Mitzrayim and Kriyat Yam Suf? In Yitziat Mitzrayim, Am Yisrael become a part of the redemption. Am Yisrael bring the Korban, and Am Yisrael make a Brit Milah just like Avraham Avinu. And like we spoke about a few weeks ago, the Brit Milah is against Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, we said, is what prevents, is the clippa that holds you back. And so Am Yisrael come in Kriyat Yam Suf, and Yitziat Mitzrayim, and they fight against the clippa. But we do not see tefila. In Yitziat Mitzrayim itself, we see asiyah. We see Am Yisrael doing mitzvot, putting the blood on their homes, making the korban, doing brit milah, running out of Mitzrayim, being prepared. It's all Am Yisrael acting, doing. That's the mitzvot. But says the Sefat Emet, that's only preparation. The goal is Kriyat Yam Suf. And what happens in Kriyat Yam Suf? Hashem says to Moshe, say to Am Yisrael, Hashem yilachem lachem ve'atem tacharishun. The essence of Kriyat Yam Suf is that the hands of war in this war are only God. Hashem yilachem lachem. And that's enough. Why does the pasuk need to say ve'atem tacharishun? But even more, this pasuk doesn't make sense. If you want to emphasize that you're not fighting, say Hashem yilachem lachem ve'atem lo tilachamun. What does it mean, atem tacharishun? Tacharishun means do not speak. But from the negative, I learned the positive. That in the war, the hands, the asiyah in Kriyat Yam Suf are God. So that leaves Am Yisrael to learn the ability of speech. Am Yisrael as a nation renew the concept of tefila when they stand right in between the Yam and Mitzrayim. And if we think about it, the Yam and Mitzrayim are the two types of enemies that stand in front of a person in his life. Mitzrayim, says the Midrash, is like the Nesher. And how does the Nesher attack? The Nesher, you see his wings, and he attacks with the wings. That's Mitzrayim. But he says the Yam is like the Nachash. And the ability of the Nachash is that it has no hands. It has no legs. All it has is a mouth. And that's why the Yam in the Midrash is equivalent to the Nachash. Because the power of the Nachash is in his dibur, in his peh. And how do we fight the Nachash? with our dibur. So says the Sefat Emet, Ki ikar kochan shel bnei Yisrael bapeh, v'ze nigmar b'yitziat Mitzrayim liyot hapeh metukan. The Sefat Emet says, when we left Mitzrayim, we prepared ourselves for Kriyat Yamsuf, because Kriyat Yamsuf was where we tied our hands behind our backs, and all that's left is our mouth. And all that's left is our ability to daven. But I think if we think about this a little bit, it could teach us maybe one of the deepest lessons about tefillah. We would think in our day-to-day lives that tefillah is a reaction of something lacking in the world. The goal is for things to get better. How do things get better? I daven. Kriyat Yamsuf teaches us the exact opposite. It says we left Mitzrayim so that we would think, oh, right, now our hands are free. Now we're not slaves, that's the redemption. But we didn't reach the highest level. The highest level is Kol Yaakov. The tefillah is not what creates the Geulah, but the Geulah enables tefillah. Rabbi Yochanan in Masechet Brachot Daf Dalet says, Ezeu ben haolah, zeh somech Geulah latefillah. Such a genius, Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, it's not hasomech tefillah la Geulah. We think the end is the Geulah. We'll daven and daven and daven, and the Geulah will get there. Kriyat Yamsuf says, the Geulah was Yitziat Mitzrayim, and that built your ability to daven. And I think we always ask ourselves, what is tefillah all about? We daven 3 times a day. Kriyat Yamsuf teaches us that the essence of tefillah, the meaning of tefillah, is not where I'm able to hope for something else, but where the experience itself of tefillah becomes my way of life. David HaMelech says, Ve'ani tefilati. I am tefillah. What does that mean? David HaMelech says, I am tefillah. David HaMelech understands that tefillah itself is the power of living. Tefillah itself, if we take a mashal that I heard from Mori Rabbi Reb Shlomo, if Chas v'Shalom, someone's in a hospital and the doctors say you have a very, very terrible disease, and there are very small chances that you'll be okay, what's the first thing you do? You daven. What does that mean about tefillah? It means tefillah is breaking the orders of the world. It means that I understand that it's in my power of my dibur, of my speech, of the words I say to create a difference. The Geulah is not that I'm not a slave. It's not that Mitzrayim aren't beating me up and killing me. It's that I am able to make a difference. That's what tefillah is. And every one of us have a moment of tefillah in our lives. And I know for me, being at the age of 16 was the first time I met the essence of tefillah. When my father was brought into the hospital with something that seemed really small and ended up being a 50% chance to live or not. And we sat there, our entire family, and the first thing my mother said to me, my brother, and my younger brother, she said, Dani, Yair, Tzviki, just go to the kotel and daven. And we run to the kotel, and I'm thinking to myself, why is this the reaction? I should just be sitting next to my Abba, try and make him tea, help him out. Why am I going to daven? And why am I going to daven at the kotel? But the kotel is where we learned in the history of Am Yisrael that things could be different. And the kol is what makes a difference. And Baruch Hashem, then everything worked out miraculously, and Hashem brought such bracha to the world, to my family in that time. But our bracha to Am Yisrael is that the idea of Kriyat Yamsuf is the Geula is not leaving Mitzrayim. Is that Rabbi Yochanan says, As-somech Geula, and the Geula opens you up to tefila. And that's exactly the opposite of what we would have thought. We would have thought tefillah opens us up to Geula. But the Geula is the beginning of learning your ability to truly just make a difference. And that's what tefillah is all about. And that's Hakol Kol Yaakov. And so like we said at the beginning of this year, is our last year of Pesach, a chag that we all anticipate and we think about. We went through different ideas throughout Pesach. But this last idea of Hashem yilachem lachem, ve'atem tacharishun, after you've davened, see how the tefillah is what makes the difference. And don't make the world teach you that the yadayim osot milchama. Learn that the kol, the tefillah, is what breaks down all of the boundaries of the world and teaches you the essence of Am Yisrael as we walk out of Mitzrayim and prepare ourselves for Matan Torah. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.